Imagine if Cadillac made an XT6 V. Just think about that.
Before we get to that, what are we having here? 2023 Cadillac XT6 400 Sport. And you're probably asking, what's new for 2023? Well, not much. The only difference is that for this year, you get 3 more paint choices. There is a red color, there is a blue, and a silver. They have a special name. So it's pretty much the same it's been since the day it came out. But this year, they're offering the Super Cruise, which is what this model has, and I'm going to show you when we take it for a spin. Interior, similar to the 2022 model. This has a beautiful interior. The interior remains the same, the rear end remains the same, the front end remains the same, so it's pretty much the same. Even the trims are pretty much the same, even for Canada and the US, the engine options are the same. Now, let's talk about the V. And when I mean the V, I don't mean the Blackwing V. Cadillac now offers the V in the CT5 V and a CT4 V, so it's not really the fully loaded Blackwing, but it's sort of like the middle trim, a bit of sportiness, yet with good day-to-day usage. It's like what BMW uses the M badge. So you got the M340i, X3 M40i, and so on. You understand the drill. So they're doing similar things to what other brands, even Mercedes does it. In this case, here's what I think would make this very, very competitive. First, let's start with the rear end. Here's how I pictured this XT6 V to be. Not the Blackwing, because I think it would be pretty hard to get that V8 supercharged into this vehicle. Rear end. At the moment, we had a single exhaust tip on each side. What would look nice is what they have in the CT5V, a quad exhaust system, and maybe finished in silver, although in black would look really nice as well. Then the taillights would be pretty much the same. I think the bumper would be a bit more sporty, some lines in the middle just to give it that aggressive look. Other than that, things should be pretty much the same. Maybe at the top of the tailgate, they could add a more sporty wing or spoiler, whatever you want to call it, not as flat as this one. And also the V badge located onto the right side, that would look perfect. Next thing, side. This package comes with 20-inch wheels, multi-spoke, not the biggest fan of these, and the car is pretty lifted off the ground. So in my books, I think what they would do is offer still 20-inch wheels or maybe 21-inch wheels just to give it a bit more stance and not this offset that it currently has, a bit more deep on the inside to give it that sporty look. Brakes. The package that we have for today's video has unusually 6 pistons in the front for the vehicle that makes 310 horsepower. Makes no sense to me, but sure, we'll take it. Red painted caliper with the Cadillac logo, Brembo of course. The back ones has the single piston, and I think they should include maybe a 4 piston in the back, Brembo, and most importantly, not the same wheel so that we can actually see the caliper. Then move on to the side profile over here. I think they should include potentially sort of like a side skirt, something in carbon fiber or even just blacked out, extended a bit further out to give it that sporty look and distinguish from the standard XT6. Then move on to the front. I'm okay with these brakes. These look really nice. Just the wheels, not the biggest fan. The car, in my opinion, should be lowered maybe an inch further down just to give it the best looking position and stance, to give it more sporty. And of course, the whole point is that it looks different than the standard XT6. Like for example, the Acura MDX, which is actually easy to notice that it's a Type S. The front end of the XT6 is already aggressive and sporty. I love this thing. It's actually one of my favorite 3-row SUVs out there because it's well priced. It looks fantastic on the road. It's kind of like a mini Escalade. The grille is beautiful. I would delete this chrome finish completely, just blacked out all the way through, and then increase this portion at the top where the hood touches the actual grille. The bottom part, I would include some maybe vents located on each side because you'd need that for the brakes. Maybe some people will take these cars to the track. Then the bottom part, a bit more aggressive lip, more sporty lip, I think would make a difference and just give you that sporty look. Now, let's talk about the hood. This doesn't have the best hood for a V8. What that means is that if they had to put a V8, they'd have to raise this a bit further up because the supercharger will take a lot of space. But I think the bay itself is not big enough to include a supercharged V8. A V6 that is included in the CT5V would make a lot more sense. That would give this huge competition, but we want the horsepower to be bumped even further up because this is also heavier in comparison to the CT5V. Now let's talk about the interior, what I think they should include in there. The interior shouldn't change that much. Let's start first with the steering wheel. I think we'd have a bit more sporty steering wheel, like a flat button or something similar to the one in the CT5V with a V button located underneath here. The cluster would be nice to have the one that the CT5V comes with, which is like fully digital and it shows you quite a lot of information. That would be nice. It already has a heads-up display. The screen in the middle is fine. Maybe a couple of performance metrics like a launch control test, maybe change the driving modes, just something not too crazy. The center console, I'd say, would be pretty much the same. Maybe a bit of carbon fiber just around this area to make it a bit more interesting. This wood finish trim would absolutely need to go because it makes the car look super old, as if grandpas are driving this thing. The seats, I think the seats are amazing the way they are, but a bit more aggressive bolsters, just something that hugs you in, that you feel like you're in a performance vehicle. It would be nice to have the ones in the CT5 Blackwing, even the non-carbon fiber ones, because then you're definitely making this the best money can buy. In terms of everything else, I'd say it would remain pretty much the same. I'd say the steering wheel would be the most piece that they need to change some things, like even the way this thing is designed slightly. It's nice to get these aluminum finish paddle shifters at the back that just, again, complements the entire car. But most of the things that I want to see change, most of the places where I want to see changes are the steering wheel area, maybe the center console, but definitely that cluster needs an upgrade. This thing is already very competitive. With this one, we have this small screen here, but it has like all the tech features that you need, 360 camera and so on, heated ventilated seats. And one thing I love about this is the rear view mirror that you can use it with the camera. This is pretty loaded, but it doesn't have everything that the XT6 offers. Now, let's talk about, in terms of the engine and horsepower and of course the pricing, what do I think they should charge and how much horsepower they should make if they offer a V version. The one that we have for today's video, under the hood, has a 3.6 liter V6 naturally aspirated, makes about 310 brake horsepower and uses a 10-speed automatic transmission. But this is the standard 10-speed. I think the CT5, I think the XT6V, not the Blackwing, because I don't think that's going to be possible unless they have a way of extending the front end of this thing. There's no way to fit a V8 supercharged. It's different with the Cadillac Escalade because it actually has the bay for a V8. All you're just putting is a supercharger on top, and the distance between the engine, the standard V8, to the V8 supercharged, the 6.2 supercharged, it's actually big, so you get so much space to work on. This, on the other hand, will be extremely tight, and I don't think there's a need for that, to be honest. A V6 twin turbo, which is the one used in the CT5V, would be fantastic. That engine makes about 380 horsepower. It will do 0-60 in about 4.8 seconds or so. But the 8-speed automatic transmission in that CT5V is far better than this. It's tweaked and tuned differently, so it shifts better. Shifts are fantastic, crisper, much nicer. Horsepower, I think this would make with that engine, if they could extract up to 375 to 380 horsepower would be a good number, because that really makes it very competitive, but also reliable for the engine. The Acura is about 355 brake horsepower, and it's pretty heavy. This with that engine also becomes a bit heavier too. Another thing they should add too is an air ride, either the Magna rides, but that of course will bump up the price quite a lot, but maybe the air ride would be nice, because it's a 3-row SUV. It would be nice to have a bit of that comfort. Would make this thing such a competitive. The Acura MDX Type S is selling like hot cakes. If you are an engineer, you work for GM, you should definitely bring this up, because that kind of package on this 3-row SUV is absolutely superb. It's going to do the job so well for a lot of people. I've driven the 4-cylinder of this car, and I'm driving the V6 today. There's no doubt the V6 is better. It pulls harder. The vehicle is too heavy for the 4-cylinder, so the V6 will do the job best. It's a pretty crazy traffic day, or the QEW. If you're from Toronto, you know. Another crazy day. This comes with a Super Cruise. Basically, you can turn it on here. We're gonna set the cruise control. It says first you gotta set the cruise control. There we go. And Super Cruise is on. That's it. You have a green light there, and basically drives itself, which is nice because I am a bit tired today. So that will do the job for you. Now, keep in mind, this is not legal in most places. I'm just doing this for testing purposes, so maybe I'm allowed. I don't know. I love this. This thing is amazing, but it doesn't work when it's snowy out there, because the sensors all freak out. They're like, oh my God, what's going on? We can't read the road. There's no lines. There's no lanes. What's going on? So it goes banana. You don't even need it during that time. You can't even use it. It's useless. Like actually a couple of days ago, it was sort of like raining, freezing rain, and the sensors were completely blocked. So the computer is like basically telling me I'm not working today. I'm off work. Pricing, I think for Canada, a good price for a vehicle that makes 375, 380 horsepower, a 3-row SUV with that V6 twin turbo, that sounds great. It's pretty quick net needed, but yet fuel efficient. Let's just say I would be okay with a price between 74 to 80,000. The Acura MDX Type S is already at 82, 84,000, depends on the package. Canada 82 is the bottom one, and then 84 is the Ultra, the one that we had a couple of weeks ago. So between 75 to 80, 82 fully loaded, this would sell like hotcakes. Like, hear me out if you're an engineer with GM. This will absolutely sell. I don't know how hard it is to put that V6 twin turbo in this vehicle, but I can tell you for sure that people will line up their pockets for this thing. It's already selling well, just being an XT6 with a V8, with a V6. Imagine if you put a V8 on this thing, it's gonna sell crazy. The Escalade is sold out across the country. Even in the US, you can't find them. The markups are insane. And I can bet money on this would sell like hotcakes. No doubt in my mind, because people would love something that with space, comfort, and power. So if you're watching this, please make it happen.